And good afternoon, mmjhl fans. Welcome to this edition of the mmjhl podcast, brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their website at midcanadafasteners.shop, as well as checking out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg. Today, also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years in the agricultural industry. Sure to check out their website at terrico.ca for more information on what they do. And to goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service, be sure to check out their website at gordytomlinsongoalies.ca to get in touch with the ex-Winnipeg Jets 1.0 WHA goaltender, Gordy Tomlinson, who's made a living off of goaltending coaching. Great to see that. A former hockey player, still in the hockey world, working to this day. But yeah, exciting times around the MMJHL. We now have two teams officially that have made it through to the Final Four. That is the St. James Junior Canucks and the Pembina Valley Twisters. To let you guys in on how it all happened. For St. James, of course, they swept Transcona 3-2 on Friday night, ending the Railer Express's season. One of the youngest teams in the league. Watch for them next season to, make a push further up in the standings than where they finished in 8th. As for the Pembina Valley Twisters, this wasn't an easy first round series for them, to be honest with you, even though it was a sweep. 3 1-goal games. They did have that 4-0 shutout, which was huge in game number 3. But yeah, I had a chance to actually tune into the Pembina Valley Twisters stream, and Pembina Valley got put on a power play in that OT game 4 game where they would set up and score the game winner as the Twisters are back into the Final Four. As for the St. Boniface Riels and Fort Garry Twins, St. Boniface had a chance to, of course, close things out on Friday night at Century, but Fort Garry was having none of that, as Fort Garry wins it by a score of 4-2 to keep on dancing for at least one more game. It's Sloan Tremblay who had the hat trick in that one. Tazio Cianflone, who's been really impressive this playoffs for Fort Garry, also scoring in that matchup. And it was also the first time that Fort Garry scored a power play goal, as one of Tremblay's goals came on the power play in that matchup. As we bring on Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools right now. Yeah, just off rip, talking about the teams that end up making it through for the St. James Junior Canucks. This is a team that's looking for a three-peat, a team that is going to have some of their core players aging out when we're talking about Noah Gilbert, Brady Whiteley, Cale Price, Tyrone Willen, who's led the league in points in back-to-back seasons. Of course, they'll still have Rory Neal back next season. They're also losing Mason Matthew Vandell, as well as Chase Sobey. So yeah, this is a team that's been so excellent in the past, 3-4 years. They made it back in the 2018-19 to the finals, of course, losing to Pembina Valley. Didn't have a chance to avenge that in the next season due to COVID-19, the pandemic shutting things down, and it not even allowing the league to have playoffs happen. But, since then, since returning back, St. James has just been the talk of the league, and rightfully so. They've been that team that everyone else has been chasing, that's been building to, take down, right? And we saw teams take huge swings at the deadline to do that. I think the Reals most notably, you look at what the Victorias did with, of course, losing a guy in Payson Butler who now plays on St. James, but they go out and get more experience with a guy in Davis Koga who's been really great throughout these playoffs so far. But yeah, St. James, 22 goals for, 10 goals against in that first round. They averaged having more shots given up compared to shots against, which is interesting in a way, because this is a team that outshot teams and, kept shots down pretty well all season long, being the best team. But that offense came through. If we take a look, for example, at the points leaders in the playoffs so far. Uh, One sec. Yeah, the points leaders so far in the MMJHL. I mean, Rory Neal, Tyrone Willen, Brady Whiteley, Kale Price, starting off really strong in that first round. And, three of those players are going to be aging out, but that experience is coming through. They're also getting contributions from other parts of their lineup. And Noah Gilbert's been pretty darn great so far. So, yeah, for this Canucks team, this is a team that has been building all season long for a three-peat. To go for it, that is all that's on their minds. And I mean, they're going to be expecting, I think, for even higher level of hockey to come their way next series, as they'll be taking on, well, at this point, either perhaps the Fort Garry Twins if they're able to come back somehow. But yeah, they'll be playing the lowest seed remaining, which will probably be Charleswood and the St. Vital Junior Victorias. Before we get into that series, as that game 5 is underway very shortly here in the league, the Pembina Valley Twisters, I mean, the other team to go through. This is a team, they got really great goaltending throughout that first round matchup. And even though they weren't playing their best hockey, they still found a way to come out and win these games against a Raiders Junior Hockey Club, who has players like Oleksiak aging out. A team that ended up playing better hockey as the season went along to get in. And yeah, it was no easy out for the Twisters. 3 1-goal wins, or one goal, yeah, game wins, that is, throughout this series. But for Pembina Valley, I mean, this is the team that if you give them an opportunity, they will capitalize on it. The one thing for them that really struggled throughout that first round of the postseason, though, in the Elite Eight against the Raiders, was that power play operating under 7% at 6.7. So that's something they'll need to get sorted out against potentially a St. Boniface Riel's team if they're able to finish it off, who's had a really good penalty kill so far. And that's a team that is going to be competitive with the Pembina Valley Twisters all series long. But for Pembina Valley, they have a bit of time to rest now, a bit of time to kind of regroup, and they've got to be finding ways, I think, to get more going at this point, get their game going, because yeah, I mean, you were able to fight off a pretty stingy, hard to play against Raiders Junior Hockey Club team in that first round. The second round coming up is going to get even tougher. You're going to need to elevate your play, because yeah, I mean, being as that second seed, even though this league is as competitive as it is, you want to make a statement in that first round. I think that the Raiders Junior Hockey Club potentially, putting the league on notice that, hey, this Twisters team is phenomenal, but if you compete, stick with them, you'll be in this game. The big thing for the Twisters, though, is that Logan Enns and Owen LaRock, either one of those goaltenders, and that's probably the best goaltending tandem in the league, and they got so many weapons in front of them. So, yeah, if this team can find their A game, this is going to be a really tough out in the next round. They have some time to prepare at this point, as they'll be awaiting, of course, the winner of one of these series, taking on the highest seed remaining. Of course, St. James will take on the lowest seed remaining in the final four. Two series remain right now. One of them could be in the books tonight coming up, as St. Boniface will be taking on the Fort Garry Twins. We'll have all the previews for that one coming up after this transition, everybody. Also going to have highlights from game 3 of that series, as well as game 4 of the Vix and Charleswood Hawks series. Also going to get you guys up to date with what's going down in that game 5 today. Going to see if it's started. I don't believe puck is dropping until 3:45, but yeah, all the news coming up here from around the MMJHL on the MMJHL podcast coming up next here on G Show Productions. Stick around, everybody. Well, welcome back in, everybody, to the mmjhl podcast. We're about 12 minutes into this episode. Just after that, I want to thank you all for tuning into this one whenever you will be. The reason why this podcast is coming out this late is, I've just had to take a bit of a mental reset between things here. There's so much going on. We've been broadcasting playoff games from this league, as well as from the Manitoba Female Hockey League, U18 AAA, which the finals for that started on Wednesday coming up. The night before, G Show Productions will be at St. Vital Arena for Game 6 of the Elite 8 round matchup between the St. Vital Junior Victorias and the Charleswood Hawks. There will be a Game 6 regardless in that series, since this is tied at 2 apiece at this point. As for, game number 5 in that series, that is starting up right away shortly. 30 minutes time from now and half an hour at 3:45 puck drop, Eric Coy Arena. This is such a huge game today in this series, especially with how close it's been. But at the same time, I mean, if you go down 3-2, you gotta feel like you're still in things. Considering that the series has been as close as it's been. Of course, Charleswood won the first game. St. Vital was able to take the next two, and then Charleswood responded even after getting outshot. They got some huge saves from Zach Meadows, and their players were taking advantage of their opportunities. St. Vital kind of blew things, though, in that most recent game. This is a team that ended up having a 10-minute power play in the third period after a bunch of commotion went down. Not just that in terms of commotion, but a big-time fight ended up breaking out. We're going to show you guys those highlights right now, and we were there for game number 4. It was absolutely packed in St. Vital. They were looking to take a 3-1 series lead heading into today's game 5 matchup, but that didn't end up being the case. But there was a lot of drama indeed in this one. We start off with Lucas Gillison. Oh, beautiful tweener between the legs, roofing it top glove side on Zach Meadows to tie this game up at 2 apiece in that second period. All 5 goals at 3-2 to get them there were scored in the second period, and this is just one that St. Vital can't be happy giving up. Short-handed in the final 2 minutes of the period, it was Guberman able to shield himself from Jaquette beating him there.
Dangles high up, trips on the play. No call coming. As now here's a fight that's breaking out. Stevenson throwing 1, 2, 3 more than that. Hands at a Victoria. As now there's a scrum in front of the net. Loads of punches being thrown here. McDonald has Malmus, I think, in a headlock. As Wirch throwing hands, now dropping them, is number 4 in Waddell. Wirch's helmet is off. Waddell feeding him 1-2, 1-2 with the left, with the right, getting some uppercuts in there too. The fans pleading for the linesman to come in and stop this. Wirch ends up on top of Waddell. There's a scrap that those old school junior hockey fans like to see.
And what a scrap from those two, Waddell and Wirch going at it. The refs would sort things out. St. Vital would be on a 10-minute power play after this all happened. Ended up giving up a shorthanded goal, and gave up a penalty too. Took one within that time. Couldn't get much going on the power play. Waddell would be sent out of this game, still in that fight sequence. Charleswood would add on 2 more goals. St. Vital would score once on that 10-minute power play. They got from all of that, but pretty disappointing from St. Vital. They had the game in their hands at that point. They were only down by 2, or only down by 1 at the time. Of course, Charleswood ended up adding in an empty net goal in that matchup to take it 5-3, sending things back to Eric Coy, of course, today, with the series tied at 2 apiece. And as for who's going to win that series, I didn't give predictions for the first round of the MMJHL playoffs. I will be putting out articles though, and giving my predictions for the Final Four when that does come to be. But I mean, out of any series, for them to be as close as they are so far, this one, it makes perfect sense. The 4 versus 5, with Charleswood being the fourth place team, St. Vital sliding down to that fifth seed at the end of the season. Charleswood ended their season strongly, whereas St. Vital, kind of struggled near the end of the season. And I think for St. Vital, if they're going to want to have their best chance to win in this series, they're going to need to figure things out on special teams. Charleswood is over 90% on the kill, over 20% on the power play, where St. Vital is below both of those, right? Only operating at about just over 11% on the power play. PK, nowhere near as strong as Charleswood's has been. And Charleswood is just a team that has such a strong counterattack, a heavy forecheck, that they're able to hem in this St. Vital Victoria's team. Things aren't going to go so well. Now, that didn't happen exactly in game number 4. The thing that was really haunting the Victorias was, of course, not being able to get things going like they wanted to on the power play. And honestly, not on sync with their passes, just not getting the puck luck on their passes, especially back to their defensemen, most times hopping over their stick and unable to keep it in. I think for both these teams, game 5 is really critical heading into, that game 6. If you can have the advantage, that's big, but I could honestly see that series going 7. I think that we didn't see the best from St. Vital evidently in that matchup. I think that they probably come ready to play in this matchup coming up. For Charleswood, this is going to be a team that's going to have to continue relying on their great goaltending from Zach Meadows, as they got outshot again in game number 3. But yeah, rely on your goaltender. Focus on getting bodies in lanes like you have been, and, look to capitalize on your opportunity. Be that opportunistic team, and, ride your goaltending into that next round. That's what Charleswood will be looking to do. Obviously, looking to get more shots on net compared to against, but this was a team this season that I'm pretty sure average more shots against than they put up shots. So kind of par for the course for this Charleswood Hawks team. Not going to be an easy out for sure for St. Vital. And for Charleswood, St. Vital ain't going to be an easy out. No doubt about it. But as for the Fort Garry Twins and St. Boniface Real series, we're going to be covering this game tonight here on G Show Productions. Can't wait for it. Puck drops at 7:30 p.m. So we're just over 4 hours away from this one getting going. And we don't have highlights ready from game 1 of that series, where it was won 3-1 by the Twins. They won game number 2 3-0. And in game 3, heading into it, they were looking to grab a 3-0 series lead to put the Twins in a 3-0 stranglehold in this Elite 8 best of 7. And as for the Fort Garry Twins, I mean, this is a team that ended up, after that first game, when they were dominated shot-wise, giving up over 40, only having just over 21. They outshot St. Boniface by quite a bit in that second game of the series, but Ashton Hallworth was phenomenal, earning his first shutout in the postseason for St. Boniface, and he was locked in again, despite giving up, 1 goal, having a shutout streak broken in game number 3. The Reals ended up responding after being down 1-0, being down for the second time in a row at home, and the fans really pleased with what they must have seen from this Real squad as we open things up in the first period, as it's the Twins around the net, getting it into the slot. It's worked around to Lazat as he pots his first of the playoffs. It was Fort Garry's second playoff goal at the time, as they opened scoring for the second game in a row at Southdale. But later in the period, a failed clear by the Twins, left all alone in front was Nate Hines, scoring one of the league-leading goals for the Reals at that time, tying the game up at 1 apiece, as we now move into the second period, where the Reals ended up adding 1 more in. It would end up being Ethan Alsip who receives a pass back. Beautiful work by the Reals in the neutral zone to end up opening the seam for Alsip to go down to pot his first goal of the playoffs. And then in the dying moments of this one, the Twins able to put it into the back of the net. Carson Dubois scores his first goal of the game and puts the Riels at the advantage of winning 4-1 in that game 3. Of course, they couldn't hold on in game number 4. Not hold on, that's not the right terminology. They couldn't close things out in game number 4. As you can see there, a huge 4-2 win for the Fort Garry Twins. 3 goals by Sloan Tremblay, 1 by Cian Flown. It was Hallward's first loss of the postseason. Michael O'Sullivan for the Fort Garry Twins, his first win of the postseason. O'Sullivan was excellent in that one. 29 saves made on 31 shots against. He'll have to be locked in again tonight as the Riels will be looking to bounce back and finish off the Twins in what is the hardest game to win in the series. We'll be right back after this. Hope you enjoy the highlights, everybody. We are going to go to another transition. I'll be back to show you all the points leaders as we finally got that sorted out. Goals leaders, assist leaders, and goaltending leaders in the MMJHL, as well as letting you guys know about what content you can expect to see coming up next year from the MMJHL on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. You're watching the MMJHL podcast for episode 15. We'll be back after this short transition, everybody. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the MMJHL podcast of showing you guys the bracket, the upcoming schedule still for the remainder of the Elite 8 round, the results so far from the Elite 8 round. Briefly show you guys some stats from the MFHL Wrong podcast. Sorted that out. We have all our statistics inputted now here into our streaming software. But yeah, showed you guys highlights too. What a experience that was on Thursday night in St. Vital. Wow. House was rocking. We got 2 solid fights in there too. And that begs the question, junior hockey fans, do you feel that fighting should still be allowed in this league? Obviously, there's cages now, but that doesn't prevent everything all the time, as we saw. Sometimes emotions get high like we saw. And honestly, I'm all for the fighting in the league. Obviously want the players to be safe, but it was really entertaining to call that. And yeah, I mean, the moms in the crowds behind me, they were pleading for the linesman to stop. And I mean, I get it. It's tough enough, watching the physicality your kid takes out there. But at the same time, hey, I mean, these are boys growing into men, and sometimes the mitts got to be dropped. And I think the occasion was right in that game at that time. But yeah, the Vics could not capitalize on that 10-minute power play they had, of course, and back talking about that. And yeah, just a squandered opportunity for the Vics. Could that be a series turning type of sequence that we saw? Well, we'll have to wait and see to find out. Of course, that matchup for game number 3 will be starting up sooner. Game number 5, team looking to go up 3-2 in that series. As for the St. Boniface Riels and Fort Garry Twins, puck drops for game number 5 tonight at Southdale Arena, 7:30 p.m. We'll have it available on G Show Productions, of course. We'll be streaming it. Only one camera angle, unfortunately, for tonight's matchup, but hey, still happy we'll be able to bring you guys the game. But as for the stats from the league, yeah, let's get into it. Showed you the points leaders. I'll show you again. Rory Neal, fantastic start to his postseason. 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points. All his teammates behind him in Willen, Whiteley, and Price. Rylan Huging, 3 goals, 3 assists, and 3 games played. Hasn't played in all of them. Not too sure why he missed one of the games. We'll have to clarify that with their coach and Will Kinsman at some point. But phenomenal postseason he's had so far. Heading into this Game 5 matchup today, he'll be looking to extend his goals to even more, as well as Nicholas Guberman. Both him and Huging tied in the goal category, along with Brady Whiteley. But, Rory Neal, one better than Ty McNaughton right now, who McNaughton, depending on what happens tonight, could be in the lead for goals in the MMJHL after this Sunday that's packed with 2 games to be played. Tyrone Willen, of course, leading in assists. One behind him is Cale Price. And then also tied with Price is Jack Kaiser and Tyler Rugani for the Vicks. Rory Neal, 1 assist behind the tie for second and 2 assists off of the lead. And as for goaltenders, interesting. The league wouldn't let me toggle with these stats to sort them a certain way, but we're going from best goals against to worst at this point. But overall, you can just take a look at all the stats here. Ashton Hallworth has been incredible so far in this postseason. Him, Larocque, and Enns all with shutouts. Pembina Valley, I think they very well have the case for having the best goaltending tandem in the league, especially with that move of adding Larocque at the deadline. He's been able to come in and play 2 games. He had a shutout in that game. 3-win for that team. Logan Enns got the first 2 starts of the postseason, so going to be interesting to see how the coaching staff over at Pembina Valley deploys their goaltenders moving forward. Maybe one of these guys, Larocque and Enns, has truly grabbed the starting role, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and find out to see. Noah Gilbert, strong postseason too. The wins leader this year in the MMJHL. Starting off strong, 4-0 and a 924 save percentage to boot. To check out all the full statistics from around the MMJHL, visit their website at mmjhl.ca. We're down to 6 teams truly in the MMJHL at this point, in what has been a very competitive season between all the teams in the top 8. We're going to have to say goodbye to, 2 of them at least in the next few days here. Do the Twins fight to see another day and force a Game 6 and what is the hardest game to win in the series at this point for the team that's in front, which is the St. Boniface Riels, who takes the 3-2 advantage into Tuesday night for Game 6 at the St. Vital Centennial Arena between the Victorias and the Charleswood Hawks. I mean, these 2 teams have been, close all season long in terms of their season series, not separated by many goals. We didn't really see any blowouts in it. Expect for that series to be close down to the end. Like I said, we could be seeing 7. I hope I'm wrong on this for you guys over cheering for the Fort Garry Twins, any Twins fans over there. But yeah, I feel like we're gonna see the Riels come with another level tonight, looking to close things out in front of their home crowd. It could very well be curtains for Fort Garry, or maybe not, as if they end up winning tonight, game number 6 of that series would also be on Tuesday night at Century Arena. If both of these series go 7, it'll be Friday game 7s, both at 7:30 p.m. We'll be back for the MMJHL podcast this Thursday. So, we could very well be seeing, all the teams moving through to the next round, or we could be very well previewing 2 Game 7s. Going to be very interesting to see everybody what goes down. Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you did, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. Thank you to goaltenders, Make Cannon Fasters and Tools, as well as Terrico for sponsoring this edition of the podcast. We will be back, of course, on Thursday night. Stay tuned for the details on our website, gshow.ca, as well as our social media platforms. And if you did enjoy this edition of the MMJHL podcast, be sure to turn on notifications and subscribe so you don't miss anything here on G Show Productions that's MMJHL related. As I said, going to be making our way over to Southdale soon here. 7:30 p.m. puck drop. Pre-game show will be at 7:20 tonight for Game 5 of the St. Boniface Riels and Fort Garry Twins. G Show Productions will be live on location for Game 6 on Tuesday night at St. Vital Centennial Arena, and then everything after that, well, it's kind of up in the air what's going to happen with their broadcast schedule. We will be broadcasting the Final Four, though, everybody, as well as the championship series in some capacity, we hope, but for sure the Final Four. Stick with us throughout this MMJHL playoff season, as we'll have all the updates here. Be sure to check out the MMJHL on their website at mmjhl.ca. And yeah, until Thursday night, everybody will have guests from around the league until in terms of players and coaches on episode 16 of the MMJHL podcast coming out on Thursday night. Until then, though, folks, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, and saying so long on this Sunday. Enjoy the game tonight if you're tuning in, MMJHL fans, for Reals and Twins Game 5. But if not, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, your weekend here. Have a wonderful and safe week ahead. And yeah, we'll see you soon here on gshow.ca. Take care, everybody.